which is that's part of it. No one's died from. Yeah, I told him. But he's focusing on football. Yeah. ¿Qué se puede hacer? Jesus Christ.
That's you?
No one's died. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Everything looks good. Sounds good.
Yeah, about a minute.
But yeah. So the season, are you still going off of decline?
I'm not going to Klein, nothing like that. It's going to be in Houston. We're going to play nothing but Houston, or the greater size of Houston.
Like the
So
Greens Road area, por
Yeah.
Hardy Toll Road, esos
Yeah.
que están allá.
Yes, sir. But it's going to be more than that. It's like whenever you play right here with Klein, you got to go underneath Taisa, which I forgot the name to it. I think it's Timberline Youth Soccer Association. So it's called Taisa. And the one that we're going through is going to be called HISA, which is Houston Youth Soccer Association.
Yeah. But Taisa's the more...
They're the same thing. So you got Houston Dynamo Dash that plays in Taisa, and they also play in HISA. And then you got the other one that is TFC, but now they recently just changed their name to GFI because the famous Borrego Torrado de la Selección de México, they started sponsoring TFC. So not only they're going to be learning how to play like European soccer, now it's going to be a little bit more. So with the changes, the price changes too.
Right.
So a season you were looking to pay like $2,500. Now it's like $3,200.
Yeah, I was gonna sign my kid up there, and then they made the change.
Yeah.
And then we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're here back live from Conroe, Texas, with another episode of Living the Dream with Luis and Ray.
Today we're live with Jose. How do you say your last name?
Samudio.
With Real Soccer.
Real Conroe.
Real Conroe Soccer Club. It's a youth club here in the Conroe area, and it goes from 8 years old to 14 years old. More competitive league, more competitive players. Looking for players that are ready to take their level to the next step up. Not just your traditional like Conroe United, which is a real good league as well, helps people get, but this is if you really want to take it to the next level in the area. So how long have you been doing that, or what got you started?
So it got me started because when we first joined Conroe United, I just joined like a parent, right? I sat back and I watched everything go through, and I was really disappointed because the way my sons were feeling. So my oldest son, he had a great season. He was actually one of my buddies, Oscar. And they did good. They went undefeated. But my youngest son, he had a really bad season. The coach, he had no discipline towards the kids and stuff like that. So when soccer season was over, he told me, he was like, hey, how come you don't coach? Like, you're helping me out, this and this and that. And I don't want to have another coach. And if you're not going to coach, then I don't want to play no more. So that's what got me started again with soccer.
Gotcha.
So I was like, all right, cool. Then when the oldest heard that I was going to coach his younger brother, then he was like, coach me too. I was like, well, let me see if I can get both teams.
Right.
So at first I told him, I was like, you know what? Let's see who you get. Then if not, we'll try to figure something else out. And the guy that he actually went with, he was pretty good. So it was Coach Ballantyne. So he coached him good, and he had a great season with him. And Coach Ballantyne told me, hey, you want to be assistant coach on this team? So I was like, all right, cool. That'll help me out because the time schedules, whenever one game played, then the other one, then you got to work it out with Wes.
Right.
And it became hectic, right? But then after I seen how that one went, I was like, you know what? I think I can do it. So not only the next season I coached 2 teams, I also ended up coaching 3 teams, which was the 8 to 9 group, the 10-11 group, and then the 12 to 13 group. And the reason why I did the 12 to 13 group because of my nephew. The coach he had the previous season, he would put him in for like 5 to 10 minutes, pull him out, and then he wouldn't play the rest of the game. And he was bringing in more kids from outside of Conroe United.
Right.
So other kids were getting more game time. So I was like, you know what? I don't want you to quit on what you want to do because somebody else is judging that for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and support you, but you got to put in the work.
Right.
So when we started doing that, I was already had my thing going on. So we play Saturdays here, and then Sundays we play in Houston.
When you say your thing going on, like a different team, a different organization
Yes,
besides
sir.
Conroe United.
Correct.
So Conroe United, so the way Conroe United works, just so people know, it's just like a volunteer thing for the city of Conroe, or anybody I think in the area, in Montgomery County.
Well, you can come from outside. You just got to pay an extra
A little
fee.
bit extra more.
Yeah.
But it's like, how would you say, like a
It's
beginner?
It's a recreational.
Just for
And
fun.
They introduce you to soccer. You know what I mean? They show you the basics of it. But then again, anybody can sign up to be a coach, right? So whenever the season starts or they're getting ready to start, when you go over there and pick the teams, all the kids didn't get chosen. They start sending emails to all the parents. Hey, you got a friend or a family or you want to sign up to be a coach. Then that's when it starts getting complicated. Somebody at a good heart, they're like, you know what?
Right.
I'll do it. But if they don't have the experience, then the kids, they have a bad season.
Right.
Because then they don't know how to manage the kids or know what position the kid can play. So it really becomes a lot.
Yeah, just so the way it is, and then parents volunteer for that as well, right? So, and we've talked about this before in other episodes, right? Where as ex-players that used to play at a lower rank or higher level, we understand the game. We sometimes add our feelings and our opinions, and we're like, man, this should be doing that. Why doesn't he do this? But sometimes we have to understand that it's somebody that's volunteering their time. Mm-hmm. They're not getting paid. They're not professionals. But I think it's still a good growth. So then you got that concept, and you said, let me take it a little bit farther, because the closest leagues here are 242 Gosselin, right?
Yeah, it's going to be right there with Houston Dynamo Dash, Inter Woodlands FC, something like that it's called, and TFC, which now is GFI. So when we started looking into it, I was looking from breaking apart and just signing up my kids. But then when I seen the cost, I was like, whoa, I got 3 kids. I got 2 boys and then my daughter, which she plays goalie.
$6,000 right there on its own.
That's $12,000 a year.
Oh man, that's
$12,000 a year. So, I mean, when you put it, it's like, man, can you really do $12,000 a year?
Right.
And then
for how many years? You know,
exactly.
It's 10 years at least.
Yeah.
That's
and then because once the kids get hooked, it's hard to say no. And what do you think, you, since you're in the industry now, what do you think the reason for it being so high is? Just, are these coaches being paid? Are these more professional coaches, or is it like just
they're getting paid?
They're getting paid. The coach is getting paid.
Definitely, they're getting paid.
But they understand soccer, and it's different than just someone that.
So, like for me, it's more like they went to school, they have a degree. Some of the coaches, they can be like ex-professional players, so they are getting paid. They don't have a regular job like we do. We go to work, and then we come over here, we volunteer the time.
Right.
And then they have an organization where it's more like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
And they also have more sponsors established, the business structure.
It's more, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because when I refed over there a few times, I would hear just conversation. The coach would be like, all right, well, I'm leaving because I got to go to this other game over here. So I'm guessing they coach multiple teams, and that's how they're able to cover their fees or whatever. And then the style of play. So I started noticing this, and we've talked about this before, about 3 years now. I think it's my 4th year as refereeing. 3 years ago when I started refereeing, right? And I grew up in Conroe, and I've played here in Conroe, and once I started refereeing, and I started seeing other schools like Aldi, well, these are high school levels, I'm like, man, the style of play is very different. And then I was starting to notice like Aldine, Westfield, and Spring, some of these other schools, Humboldt, Caney Creek, all these, the style was different. But for some reason, the Woodlands, College Park,
it's not
Katy,
for some reason. We know the reason.
Well, yeah. Well, but I didn't understand the reason,
yeah.
right? So then I started understanding. Then I started doing club games for Next. What is it, Next? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, this is why. Like, I did a game of like 8 years old, and they were just passing the ball so. I was like, what am I watching? Like, what is it? Like, I do some high school games, and they don't even pass like this. You blow the whistle, they stop instantly. They don't talk back. They know it was a foul. They know they did a foul. And there's kids doing smart fouls. I'm like, this kid's 8, and he knew he had to give him a little bump, because if not, they're gonna score. And he took the yellow and he walked away. And these kids are 8 and 9 years old, and that's I think what the conversation started.
Right. And then there's a bigger level after that, which is like the big club, what they call the academies, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like the Barcelona Academy, the Manchester Academy, and then they have them all over the world.
Right.
That's at even a bigger level, like la cantera que le llaman, the canteras from different teams, like the ones in all these big teams have. That's a bigger level.
Right. So and I saw that when La Copa Rayados, they have. Yeah, and I saw
they're having another one.
Yeah.
They're having another one right here on
Thanksgiving. They have ones. Texas.
It's gonna be in the Woodlands.
Yeah.
The way they work is it's pretty good because they let anybody join. And as a matter of fact, also Houston Dynamo Dash has one coming up right here in Carbarton. But I don't know if it's open to the public or it's just a tournament they're having in-house.
The one that you said that anybody can join, what do you mean? Like any team can join?
As long as you got the rosters and everything, you have everything set up where you can prove the age of the kids, you're able to join.
How did you create the team?
So I started doing more research. So when I figured out what was the price for one kid, I was like, okay, I know we can do more competitive, and I know I can bring in more kids, but it's going to take my time, right? So it's like, it's either I pay up the money or I give up my time. So I decided to give up my time. Why? Because that opens up the more chances for other kids. So in my team, I have a lot of kids that have a lot of potential. So maybe the parents, they cannot afford to pay the $3,000. Like me, I have to pay $12,000.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? It's going to open up opportunities for other kids too, and a chance to be able to play against other kids. Because Conroe United, you're playing against the same kids every year. And yeah, there's new kids coming in and stuff like that, but it's not the same.
Right.
When we started doing it, I promise you, the first month and a half, we're getting torn. Bad.
9-0.
I think like the worst one was like 7-0. And then the lady told me, she was like, hey, we got a tournament coming up. You want to join? So I talked to all the parents. Everybody seemed like disappointed. They're like, I don't know, man. We're just going to pay to get eliminated quick. I was like, hey, we got to start somewhere. Right. So they put their trust in me. So I talked to all the parents. I was like, hey, let's try to come to the park 3 times out the week. Try to get more practice. And we did. And that first season that we played there for that tournament, we made it all the way to the final. So we played against the team that beat us 7-0 on the final. And we ended up tying 1-1. Won the extra time. And then we had to go to penalties. So we lost in penalties. And, like, the kids, they were disappointed. But I told them, I was like, hey, man, take this as a win.
Right.
Like, literally, when we started, we lost against them 7-0. They're the ones that are more upset because they're like, wow, like, they really came around.
Right.
So I told them, I was like, this is all y'all's hard work. Y'all put in the work, and this was going to pay out.
And then these teams that you guys play are, like, who are they? Are they like bigger leagues or?
Yes, so this comes into the HISA, the Houston Youth Soccer Association. A lot of those teams that we're playing against right now, they play more competitive. So they've been a team more longer, like 3 to 4 years, maybe even 5. Kind of like what Ray was saying, seeing the 8-year-old kids passing the ball, stuff like that. So with them, they start working them since they're like 5 to like 6 years old. So you know how usually when they're going to do the goalie kick, all the coaches are like, hey, get close to the box. They're not going to make it far. So,
Right.
I mean, you know, it's true.
Right.
You're going to try to get that quick goal.
Right, it's a strategy.
Well, with the little kids, what everybody enforces, even the ref, it's like when they're going to do a goalie kick, the kids, they got to come out playing from the back. So your team has to come back all the way to midfield and let them come out playing. So that opens up their mind. Okay, the goalie can come out, pass the ball to the defender, and they can come out playing like that, which is really good for them because as soon as they grow up, they know how to do that fast.
Right.
So if you're able to come out playing from the back and make it all the way to the front, you become better and better. And what's one way to do it? Passing the ball.
Right.
You pass the ball, you control the game.
That's true. 100%. And I think that's a big difference in understanding, you know, that all this takes time, and it's putting the kids in front of the ball to be able to get to that level and understand that it's not just like pass, give it to one guy and go score. Once you get to the higher levels, a 1 or 2 stars in your team are not going to bring those W's. It's going to be that team effort and understanding that everybody has to play together. Right. Here in at Conroe United, if you have one good kid that's there,
pass it to the Italians.
Yeah, just give it to him.
Kicking and screaming.
Right, and then just give it to him, and then he'll score. But at that level, it's different. So you've been doing this, 1 year now?
I've been doing it for 2 years.
Oh, 2 years now.
Yeah,
2 years.
But like doing my own thing, like competitive, we're going on a year.
Going on a year.
Yeah, in October it'll be a year.
What do you mean going into like competitive? Like,
so going into competitive is playing at a higher class.
Is it that Houston?
Yeah, the Houston thing is going to be a year.
Youth Soccer Association. And before that, you were playing in tournaments, or you were playing?
We were just entering tournaments, like the day join and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So our first official tournament, season with HISA is going to be in September. So all the teams that they play in HISA, that's where we started. And I started that because we got a friendly match in Houston. It's called Soccer Locker. Oof. And what's it called? One of the guys from a team from here in Conroe, FC Conroe, he was like, hey, I know you. And I was like, I don't know you. You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, man, this is your brother-in-law, this guy. And then my brother-in-law was walking, like, behind me. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, this is your brother-in-law, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay. He's like, we're from Conroe, too. So just because that guy knew my brother-in-law is how a lot of doors open up. Right. You know what I mean? They asked for a friendly. We played a friendly with them, and same thing. They destroyed us. It's an ultimate team. They have a really nice team. The coach, Rafa, he's an amazing dude. He's been helping us out a lot, and we work together a lot. Like, if we're getting prepped for a good game, we ask for a friendly. We play. We practice. Whenever the kids play, I help their kids, and he helps my kids, because we swapping. Mm-hmm. Either he revs or I rev one game, because it's just a friendly match. Right. So we work together, and we've been working together for about 8-9 months now. Okay. So, I mean, we got a good friendship. We've established something good, and whenever he needs something, I help him out. Whenever I need something, he helps me out.
And that's good. And the important part there is making those connections.
Correct.
And people understanding that no matter what you're doing in the industry, whatever thing you're working on, it's just being open-minded to meet new people and be okay with understanding, hey, they might be better than me, but I can learn, or vice versa. Or, hey, I was there one time, so I can help them, and we can share information and stuff like that. And I think things like that is what we need in Conroe, for all sports, to really be able to grow to the next level and be some of those teams that are, fighting for state championships, fighting for like playoffs, playing in these bigger tournaments, because that's, at the end of the day, it's going to be for all our kids, right? It's for them an experience, because soccer is not just fun and I'm learning and I'm just having fun, but you learn discipline, you learn responsibilities, you stay.
There's also like scholarship opportunities, college opportunities, and I think that's like you want to have a journey where it becomes beginning soccer, competitive soccer, league soccer, semi-pro, and then possibly pro, possibly college. You want to see that career, go through its journey. But a lot of, Conroe soccer players end at like high school. Mm-hmm. High school, before high school, it stops.
Then they end up in the Centenario.
Right. Injured.
Yeah. Playing with 40-year-olds.
Right. So that lack of continuity, consistency is what we've been talking about for the past year of seeing. He's been reffing. I have kids in Conroe United, and we've been like, hey, what's the problem here? What can we do? Because most of the parents know about soccer because they've lived around. Right. It's been around our lives our whole. Some of us have played. Some of us watch it, but we need more teams like this, so we can have that, consistency throughout the kids' journey, not just like one team. Because when my brother played, it was only like Conroe. What was it? Conroe United, not Conroe United.
Rush.
No, there was another one. That's the one that I played in. It was called Conroe Youth Soccer Club.
Yeah, that one.
Okay,
yeah. That's what that one was. and that one was actually
Who was your coach?
Procopio Francisco.
And before that, there was
a guy that how I got introduced to it. It was Ruben Mares.
Yeah.
His wife was my 4th grade teacher, Miss Mares, and then she brought in some flyers, and then she was like, "Hey, anybody wants to sign up?" So me and two other my buddies that we lived in the same neighborhood, we're like, "We'll take one." And then I took that home, and then I started talking about it with my mom. Then my mom's like, "Oh, I got to talk to your dad." And then the coach was actually my brother's boss, and that's how I came about the team too. Gotcha. He was like, "Well, we'll just sign you up over here with my boss if you really want to play, and whenever he gets out of work, I get out of work, and then I can just take you." So I was like, "All right, cool," and it ended up being the same thing. Nice. So it was pretty cool, you know. With them, we actually won state champions. Nice. So it's the same thing. Yeah. Everything that we're doing right now is the same thing as what it was back then.
But for some reason, it died.
It died because I think people started going to more places. Rush started getting bigger. Even Rush died.
Big, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because even, when I played, they were talking about 2003, 2004. That's 20 years ago, you know? And between there and now, like, there's not, right now, besides Conroe United, the last 5 years that I know of. It seems
like, and Conroe United kind of took over that scene of, like, let's just have everybody play.
Right. But I think there was nothing, and then Conroe United came. Because Conroe United is only 4 or 5 years old, too.
2018.
Yeah.
It started in 2018.
Wow. Yeah, so between that window of, like, Rush ending and then...
They had another little thing going on there, where people would gather up and they had like a little league trying to go through, but it didn't kick off. So this thing with the city is easy to kick up.
Right. It's easy.
Why?
And
because
subscription is
they
super
own the
easy
park.
Too.
Yeah,
they own the park. And then if it's us, we gotta pay for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and if it don't kick off, then that's a bad investment.
So I mean, it's $40 makes it so easy.
But I think with them, one thing that could help. And then probably having a meeting with, what's his name, Wes?
Yeah, Wes.
It's like, maybe there's like some trainings before you become a coach, right? The basics or understanding what, So
they give you a 2-hour training, and they make you go through these long videos, and they tell you, so since it's not competitive, if a kid messes up, you can't scream at the kid. You can't tell him nothing. Right. You got to be like, okay, little Bobby, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's ways around that, you don't have to scream, but you can still be disciplined, and then you can still have.
It's not about the screaming. It's just sometimes when you're in the outfield coaching, you can't really hear the coach inside of the field, right? And the person that actually hears the coach, the kid can take it offensive. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like, oh, you screamed at me.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is the parenting. Parents, whoever's watching, and like, parents have to understand that they have to let the coach do their job. Like, this is why you're paying. This is why you're giving them the trust. This is why you're letting your son or daughter play there. But I think even me as a ref, like, the coaches will get loud, but it's more the parents that it's like, like, relax. Like,
man, I think being the ref is the hardest job out there. I mean,
it's pretty.
They remind you your parents at every give and take they get.
Yeah,
the crowd, man. I'll be hearing the craziest things, and I'll be like, man. That's why, like, my crowd, I try to tell them, hey, man, y'all can't scream at the ref. Right. The ref is gonna make a mistake, and as much as it stinks, but you got to be okay with it.
Right.
We're all human. We're gonna make a mistake.
You can't change the call.
Yeah. That's it.
We don't have a VAR.
I think that's the part they have to understand.
Yeah.
Somebody got to be there with the phone and be like, hey, check this out.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think then, like, the ref's not going to stop the game to go and check
I think parents have to understand you doing that. It's never in the history has it happened, and it will never be like, okay, they just told me I should have called the penalty. Right. Sure, penalty. Like, no one's ever.
So I think it's like a whole culture that needs to shift.
Yes.
And that requires time. Requires time of, like, season after season after season of, like, people that have been around soccer know that, what are you going to do with the ref? Nothing. You just have to,
respect them. And just kind of,
it is what it is.
And it is what it is.
I think
you have to live with that.
And it's not just soccer. So a few months ago, like ABC News or whatever did a thing where even I think in basketball is the worst.
Oh.
And when I heard about that about January, February, there's a ref that does multiple sports that I was reffing a high school game. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm about to finish basketball. He's like, basketball is 10 times worse, and the parents are right next to you.
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like
they're
right
there on
there.
the court.
And it's like, and then I saw that thing on the news. They're like, a high school team like canceled the rest of their games because of the parents just making that. And I think, one, I think the parents have to understand that, and then two, the refs have to be a little bit more of understanding to use your power and get some of these parents out. When I do some of these Conroe games or like Alden games, the parents are aggressive.
Yeah.
Right, but once I tell them, hey, I'll kick y'all out. Like, I'll tell them straight away, I'll kick all of y'all out. If not, we're gonna cancel this game. And then after a while, they start to calm down. I've noticed that
Right.
maybe either they recognize me or they just in general
They start
like,
recognizing you because it's the same
You
refs.
gain the respect.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
same refs. It's
Oh,
the
you
same
playing
teams
games.
year after year after year. You know, I'll be
Correct.
back next time.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
next time it's going to be different. You know, and that's how it is in like pro soccer, right? Like you have the same refs over and over and over,
Right.
and you know, even the players play to the ref sometimes. It's like,
I mean-
this ref doesn't call. Like in Premier League, they don't call the fouls a lot of the time. And they go to Spain, and then every little thing is like a foul. So it's
Yeah.
like it just depends on the league, on the ref, but they start learning. And it can be the same here. Like they can start learning the players, the refs, but it takes that time for them to develop that.
Right.
Correct.
I think as a coach too is like also telling the players to understand that, because I've noticed when I do certain games, if there's it might be the most obvious foul ever, they'll turn around and start screaming at
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And I'm
The
like, dude,
education
like
of
it
the
was the
kids
most
also.
obvious foul, right? And then
Yeah.
some players be like, I hit him, thanks, okay, turn around and like keep like, you know, it's understanding that. But I think as coaches, as parents, we have to train that into our players to like play the game, you know, play the game. And I think that's things that you're doing and that I see when I've seen you out there a few times, and then I did that tournament for you.
Yeah.
That was a good tournament that you did.
I mean, besides the
the
rain,
weather.
it was a pretty good turnout, man. Actually, I was pretty excited about it. It put a lot of work.
You
to get
hosted your own
everything.
tournament?
Yes, sir.
Where at?
Right here at Carbarton.
Okay.
I rented out 2 fields, and I got Ray to go over there and go ref for me, and I got another ref, Chico. He actually refs for Conroe United. But out of all the refs, I gotta say, man, like this guy, he doesn't take it. You know what I mean? If the kid did the foul, he's gonna mark the foul. And it's the same thing what we're talking about right now. I told Ray the same thing. I was like, hey, if anybody's getting loud with you, you're the ref, man. You're in charge.
Right.
Kick them out. You know, show them that red card, you're out.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Number one, because people forget about it, man, but this is not about us. You know, we had a chance to play and do our thing, and now is the time for the kids to do their thing. And parents, they get so caught up in their fantasy about
So true.
that's how I look at it. Like, they get so caught up in their fantasy about what they could have done, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And now it's time for their kids to do their thing.
Right.
And if you show up as a parent, I get it. They hit your kid, it's going to hurt you inside. But in the same token is every single sport comes with some type of damage or injury or
Right.
anything. And there's going to be physical contact. And if you feel like this is not for your kid, you don't want your kid to get hurt, I mean, keep him at home. And even like that, he's still going to catch a boo-boo.
Right. Right. That's true. I mean, and I think stuff like that, like sports to me is, I think it's real important for kids at all ages, because it's not, like I said earlier, it's not just, oh, they're having fun. No, it's you learn.
You learn
And-
to lose. You learn to win. You
Yeah.
learn to collaborate with
It's a
others.
lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. Take a hit, understand, you know, you're not always going to get it your way. Like, it's a foul. Like, you're just understanding the whole concept of it. It's not just, hey, it's just kids out there kicking a ball. It's like building that. And then you build those long-term relationships. I
Right.
mean, this is, you know, you still talk to your friends that play soccer. I mean, I started playing soccer again, and then at 7v7, and I run into people. I'm like, bro, you still play? He's like, yeah, bro. Like, damn, you know, I haven't seen you in years, you know, and like, it's like you build that relationship and go from there. So you guys are going to start working with September in this new league. And so are you looking for players? Are you trying to grow?
I'm looking for players on the category of that they were born in 2009 and 2010.
What age group is that?
So that's going to be anywhere from 13 to 14 years old.
Okay.
And some kids that are 12, moving up to 13.
Okay.
So in between 12 to 14. And the reason why is because it's a new team. We barely got about 2.5 months with that team, and we're trying to build it, get it better. So right now that we just finished the tournament in Houston, we're going to continue getting friendly games to Houston. I don't want to let them take that break. Unless they really want it, I'll do the majority vote. And if they do, my 2011 group, I mean, they're strong and they like the challenge. So they like to play with the older kids.
Okay, that's good.
So they actually join in there.
Okay. So you're looking for players. Are you looking for any volunteers, any people that are willing to...
If they're willing to do their time, one thing that I will say is there's no money being made. There's no money being generated. I'm looking for sponsors that are willing to help out. Like I said, there's kids that they want to play, and some of my brothers, they've been helping out with like letting me know, hey, if we need to pay something, let me know. If you got a kid that's actually putting in the work and they can't afford it, let me know. We'll help you out. We'll pay some of the registrations.
The registration is for
the season, because it's going to be a little bit more costly. It's not going to be $3,000, but it can be anywhere from $150 to the $275. Oh. So it just depends. You know what I mean?
Since you said not $3,000, I was like, oh, he's gonna say $1,000 or $2,000.
No,
$150.
No, so
when? Sorry to interrupt,
no,
but when do you? Because I know it's not about money, but money helps, right? With kids, registration, trips, traveling, food. At some point, it's gonna be not about money, but you're gonna need the resources for that money, and that's what me and Ray have talked about. Is that, yeah, like Conroe United is like $60, $40.
No, it went up 65.
65.
If you check the flyer, it's 65, and they put in green letters in the bottom, subject to change.
Okay.
So it can either go up or it can go low.
But that I feel like it should be more, so they can have more resources. With more money comes more resources available for the reinvestment of the league. Not to keep the money, but to invest it back into it.
But they're not going to invest it to make it competitive. Right. They only want to keep it recreational. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as Conroe United is over, basketball happens. Right, you know what I mean?
But I think you're saying in general, right?
In general, yeah, like any type of...
Yeah,
right.
Well, their vision or their mission is not to be competitive. It's to, offer something for the kids to have an entry into soccer or into basketball or into whatever sport they want to. But that's not the principal, idea of Conroe United, is to be competitive. It's not.
Yeah.
But it's a good entry point, right, for your kids to start. Like my kids started like a year ago, and I'm going to have them this year, because this year they go from no goalies to having goalies. So we'll see how he does. And then after the season, then we'll look into a more competitive team.
Well, and that's why I think Conroe United is good there. Like my daughter hates it. But my goal was just to get her out of the house and get her running. Right. I wasn't looking for her to be an all-star. I wasn't even looking for her to score. Half the time she was just running in circles. But my objective, which is I think what Conroe United is for, is just get them out there running, kicking. But I think what he was saying too is just like you at one point also have to, like, you're also going to need more money than just enough to take the kids, because you want to invest in like better cones, better balls, better bibs, better fields, maybe even better training things that I know there's a bunch of stuff out there now that will help them train. So you also look for sponsors, but donations. Do you have things like that set up as well, like to kind of?
So I'm working on building up a website so I can have everything in there, make it more legit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So once I get all that developed, then I'll be able to do that. It's like my job. They have a sponsor.
Is that the one that you're wearing now?
Right here in the front, Heritage Sanitation. Nice. That's why I wear the hat too. I'm not really a hat person, but I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna wear it.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Show them out there. Right. That's why I give out a lot of
professional, right?
Yeah,
it's being professional.
Correct. Because, they help me out. I want to bring back business.
Right.
Just like the other day, we're hiring. I put it in my personal page. I put it in my soccer page, and hey,
it's a win-win. It's helping. Like we said,
you help me, I help you, and it's like that. Same thing with y'all. Y'all have me here. I announced it.
Right.
And that's what it's about.
Right.
It's about like it doesn't cost nothing to advertise it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the help they're giving behind is a good cause, and the kids, they're happy.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about them going out there and having a good time.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that, And that's why whenever they're down, they're upset because we're losing. And halftime, I give them like a good little speech, try to motivate them, boost them up, and get them up in the circle. And I tell them, hey, what are we going to do? And everybody starts saying win.
Right.
And 9 out of 10, man, they go back in there, and we either tie the game or we win it.
Right, there you go.
So, I mean, that feels good.
And you're doing things to them, right? Like, you're getting in their mind. You're letting them understand, like, like, I remember stuff when I played soccer, when we were down. I still remember stuff like memories like that. And that's things that are going to help them as young men or women as they get older and understand, like, when you're down, like, just try more or do this or do that or figure out a plan, or you don't have to stay down there. And I think that's very important. I've been listening, like, coaches are very, very important to the development of players.
Yeah.
Like,
good coaches.
Good coaches. It's a big difference on that. And I think I've seen where it's like good players with the bad coach aren't like, they don't do so good. And then maybe some players that are mediocre with a good coach start to.
Right.
Like they say, Tyson, his coach was a big deal on what made Tyson.
Yeah, basically Tyson was he himself was like, I was a nobody, until this coach came and told me I was going to be the heavyweight champion next year, and he was like 17, and he won at 18. All because of this coach that got him out wherever he was.
That's right.
When you hear that from the kids, man, it feels good. I mean, I know we're live and everything, right? But I got no shame in saying it. But after every season in Conroe United, I would throw them a party, right? Mm-hmm. So in Crocker Martin, they got a pool, which is called the pool zone. So we rented that out. It was a nice little spot for the kids. Pool. 2 of the parents of the team, they volunteer to cook and bring the food. So one of them, he does taquizas. Okay. So, shout out to my boy Victor for that.
Okay. Shout out.
So what's it called? He does that, and then another parent, he does that for the family as well. So he was like, hey, I'll get with him. Don't worry about the food. We're going to help you out. You do a lot for the kids. Let us do this for you.
That's good.
So, Conroe United doesn't give them trophies or anything. Right, so we always get them trophies and medals.
I saw it, yeah.
So,
even in your tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gave them the trophies, and I gave them some medals. And after I did all that, there was a kid. His name is Kai Murphy. He was like, hey, coach, I got you some. And I was like, all right, cool. So I told him playing around. I was like, what is it, a picture of me and you? And then he was like, how you know? And I was like, man, stop playing. So I thought it was just going to be like a framed picture. Well, this kid went above and beyond. So, those portraits they get and stuff like that?
The canvas portraits, yeah.
So he did that from the season when we first started playing to where we're at now. And then on top, he put Coach Zamudio, and then the bottom, he said, any coach can be a good coach, but a great coach is the one that brings you out. Nice. You know what I mean? So, like, whenever I seen that, and I read that, and I seen the pictures and stuff like that, and I guess it was just in the moment, like, I'm a tough person to make me cry. You know what I mean? Right. But this kid actually brought the tears out.
There you go.
And I told him, I was like, hey, man, that's going to be 5 laughs for making me bust a tear, man.
Right.
But it was something good, And I took really, I was really proud of that, because it lets you know that your work that you're putting in, your time, is being, actually cherished by somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And his parents, too, they're always telling me, hey, I know you don't do anything like that, but whatever you need, let me know. Another one, my friend Miguel, he barely started with his kid, probably about like 3-4 months ago. And the first thing he told me, he's like, hey, whatever you need, let me know. So we were running low on balls because the kids, they'll kick them in the woods and stuff, hard to find them. And he showed up to practice. He brought me 6 brand new balls with a bag. He was like, hey, to help you out. And then on every game in Houston, he always brings the waters, the Gatorades. Nice. He's like, don't worry about it, I got it. Because I would be doing that. And then he was like, hey, you're already doing too much, let me help out.
That's good, man.
So when people do stuff like that out of heart, like, it makes me feel good, right? Because it's like, you're bringing the good out of people.
Right.
And it's not just for you, it's for the kids. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. I got a bunch of parents in the team, and they help out a lot.
That's good.
And that's what it's about. It's about bringing us together, as a community.
Correct.
And everybody being able to see what we're doing for the kids.
Right. That's good, man. That's real good to have that, those parents backing you up, and it motivates you too, like that you're doing good, and then the kids see that, and again, I know I keep saying it, but the kids see that too. Right. Like, my parents are helping. My parent didn't have to do that. Like,
exactly.
Like, okay, so like as I grow up, if someone needs help, I can help, and things like that. But yeah, I would say, definitely, try to build that website to help, and there's people out there that'll help and support.
I wonder who knows how to build websites.
Yeah, I know somebody that builds websites.
Who builds websites? You build websites?
I can build you one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so.
For sure. See?
Yeah, making connections. But I would say that's good. I love what you're doing, and me and him have been talking it for a while. We should make a league. We should make a team. We should do this. I think just besides the fact that we're always busy, is like getting the idea down. And we've talked about it, like you said earlier, it's not really about the money for the profit. It's still finding a way to have the money to invest more on the kids, right? Because you can, I know there's workshops, and like being able to have somebody that can fund, or having the
more
money
coaches too, bringing quality coaches, not just volunteers,
right? Because it is a difference, and you can see that. Cause like I remember growing up, one year we did have a real coach, and I was like, oh damn, like this is we're not just fooling around. And like,
do you have more coaches? I know you mentioned you have like 3. How many teams do you have?
3 teams.
3 teams.
So when it comes down to the games, I have some of the parents that volunteer that know about the sport, and they show it to the practice. My boy Julian, when he shows up and he coaches the kids on the age group 2009 2010. But really, I gotta be juggling around, so really it's just me,
right?
And when it's just me, it becomes a little bit more stressful, hectic, because when we're in the field, sometimes I gotta leave my kid behind, my oldest, and I'll be like, hey bro, get somebody to help you out, and then come over here with this parent, and then pick up everything. Right. I got to run to the other game. Then I take off to the other game. And it feels good, because whenever I do that, and there's somebody else coaching, then I show up, it's like the kids, they get more motivated.
Right.
And I think I've already earned their trust. Like my 2013, 2014, I don't know who is watching, but I got to say, that's my all-star team. Like, those kids... the tournament we scheduled here, and the one that I did in Conroe, they won first place.
Nice.
Then in Cleveland, we were shorthanded. We played only with 7 players against 9 players, and then they had subs, and we didn't.
Wow.
And we won that tournament. You know what I mean? So they went out there and they did their thing, man. They didn't give up. They put in the work, and that's why I say, like, that's my all-star team.
There you go.
They got 2 championships this year already.
That's good.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, we talked about how Ray said, like, creating a team, creating a league, an academy. The idea was to have like a competitive academy, basically what you're doing, right? But more of an academy where parents can pay a little bit higher premium so their kids could be actually coached by people like you, and not just have like, one coach for everything. Have several coaches that would be paid, so they could have that time with the kids.
Right.
But, we didn't really look much more into it because, as volunteers, people end up getting tired of it, or they don't have that same motivation because they just, or they don't have the skill because they're just volunteers.
Right. Yeah, some of that, because we've talked about it, because it wouldn't be just like soccer. It has to be also like agility training. It has to be
goalie training,
a little
defensive, offensive.
And that becomes really hard whenever you got 3 teams and it's just you by yourself.
Correct.
So sometimes what I have to do, whenever I put the kids to go run laps, I got to pull the goalies to the side and then work with the goalies. So I get about like 10 to 15 minutes to work with the goalies.
Right.
But
they need
it's not enough.
They need a whole
session.
Yeah.
And to bring them in just alone, that means I got to rent out the field another day.
Right.
Rent out the field, that means more money. More money means gotta be juggling that up.
Right. So I think it's a good idea that you're gonna build that website and get that going. But yeah, maybe getting with the city of Conroe, maybe they can be a sponsor. No. Okay. Well, I mean,
I already went down that road.
Oh, okay.
I talked to the lady from Parks and Recreation, and they're done doing contracts with people or anything like that. And basically, we're gonna get what we're gonna get here, but we're in the works in getting our field. Something that we can say our field. My brother has a property. He's not doing nothing with the backside of the property, and he does select field dirt and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I told him, I was like, hey, sometimes you get extra material. Just go dump it over there, and then we spread it out with the machine, and we get it leveled out, get some grass, throw it in there, set up some goals, and
we've talked about creating a field as well. Possibly like an indoor field where we can rent it out.
I've been looking for warehouses and stuff
or,
like that.
Rent it out to teams like you or people that want to do rec or people that want to do like tournaments. That would be, because right now here in Conroe, we only have the Conroe Parks.
Yeah.
They are the monopoly of the Conroe fields. There's no other fields. Right. There's some churches that have some fields I've seen, but what would it take to look at those as well? Or
it's gonna be kind of difficult. Right. I've been around, I've asked around, and basically where I'm at, that's as best of a field that I'm getting right now.
There you go.
And if I leave that field and I go to McDade, because in August 17th, they're gonna open up the park back to like if you want to rent it. But what the lady told me too, if somebody comes in and they want to rent it for a game, we're gonna basically kick you out the field. And
they take priority.
Like organization.
What are the rental fees?
So the rental fees for 2 hours at the McDade Park is $25. Same thing with car parking, and it's a minimum of 2 hours. But you got to take in consideration, you got to pay for the lights. So the lights are another $25. That's $50 a practice. So when you put that in twice 4 practices a week, that's $200. Add that up in the month, that's $800.
Yeah.
So it becomes hectic and then becomes expensive.
Right. But I think you're just building that. You ever thought about making your organization a nonprofit?
So I already started the process into that.
Okay, that's good.
But in the same token, it's like it takes a little bit more. You got to have more time to finish everything else, and it just really complicated when you're just alone.
Right.
When you're just doing it by yourself, it's complicated. So we're in the works with other teams that we want to make it more better, more efficient for everybody. And once we get it together, I know it's going to be better for the kids.
Right.
Because the cost for everything, I split it. So if they're charging me $2,000 for the whole team to sign up, then if I got 15 players, we divide that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Including myself. I don't leave my kids. Like, for example, even though I'm doing my volunteer coaching, I still pay my fee.
Right.
Because the whole process and the whole point of this organization is to make the cost lower as possible. So I know I'm saving myself money, and I know they're saving themselves money to be at a greater competition.
Right.
So I don't feel myself like, because I'm coaching, I don't need to pay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we're all a team. So if I put that into the team, that means they got to pay more than what they really should, because now they're taking my costs.
Gotcha.
So in the same token, it's like I still put my costs because it's important.
Correct.
That shows what kind of person I am.
And then it shows that that's good. It keeps that honesty. But no, I asked because I know once you have that and that you can give somebody back that receipt that says like, that like increases your chances of maybe getting more donations from businesses, because they know like, okay, this is a nonprofit, they can get that receipt. I wonder if you can still donate and just get any receipt.
What is it?
Like I told them get it as a nonprofit, so if people donate. But I wonder if maybe you can still give receipts even if you're not an official nonprofit. Maybe looking into that.
Do you have any structure? Like business structure or anything like that?
So that's what I was talking with Ray. Like it's something that we're working on.
Okay.
But it becomes difficult if I got to be at the fields 4 times out the week, and then my only day off being Friday.
It becomes a whole thing, a business, right? Like even if you don't want it to be, you know, even churches, nonprofits, everything that has a cause or organization, anything that has to do with money, you automatically start understanding that, okay, it's a business. We need marketing, we need operations, we need, you know, coaching and not coaching, coaching, financing, staff, development, leadership. That's what I meant by coaching, leadership. Who's going to do all that? One person. You know, it becomes that struggle with a small organization or business or nonprofit.
And I've seen that from every angle. When I set up the tournament, I had to be there to go verify ages, to go give out the trophies, to go give the medals, and then what's it called? Going and go get the people. Hey, you're up next. Pay attention to the roster. That's why I gave it to you.
Yeah.
So I was all over the place, and then whenever I did catch a break, like it was just to get a little water, then go back in the field.
You were just on your own, right?
I was just back and forth, bro.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've noticed from. I mean, it's just something that, like, the more structured organizations, like, you know, the ones that are further south, they have more structure. They have an understanding of, like, okay, we need all the business stuff. Like, you do the financing, you do the marketing, you do the coaching, you do the head coach. You know, it's like more structured. And then that's why we said, like, we need money for all this. Like, we can't do it out of out of our own
funds or time.
Yeah, not even that, because, like, we will run out of time if we try to do everything. We need to outsource as much as we can. We need to outsource the marketing, the leadership, the financing, because, like, you know, you're running everywhere, and then you do a disservice to the growth of it. You know, you can stay small, but, you know, what if you want 10 teams? What if you want, you know, more than that? It becomes really, really, really difficult.
Yeah,
it does, man, because we actually thought about getting 10 teams in total. Because if you get 10 teams, you don't need nobody else. Then you're already an organization that's big enough to be able to register as your own in any competitive league. It's a minimum of 10 teams.
10 teams, like ages, or?
It doesn't matter. It can be all the same age as long as you have 10 teams.
10 teams of Real Conroe Soccer Club?
Yep. If you get 10 of them, say, for example, it can be even, say you have your team and I have mine, right? You have 4 and I have 3. And Ray has the other, 3 that are left. You can be called whatever you want to be called. He's going to be called whatever he wants to be called. And I can be called whatever I want to be called. But in the paper, we're all going to be one thing, right?
Like an association?
Yeah, we can just be Conroe Club or something.
Whatever, yeah.
So if you have that, then you can bring in more people. And that's how we're getting in. We're getting in with FC Conroe, that they already had the contact over there that was helping them getting in.
When you say bring in more people, what does that mean?
So basically, they're already a big association, so we get registered underneath their association. So when we got the home team plays that we got to do, we're still playing them in Houston, but we're playing them in the designated place that we're home and away.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I think this is why, like last time with the other one that was trying to do it in McDave, he was heard something like that. Like, it was like, we're playing under this flag. We're still this, but we're playing under this flag because of the insurance, because of this, whatever. Correct. So we're going to be, our home field's going to be over there, not like here in Conroe.
Correct.
Have you set up like any like meetings between like all these teams and all these that want to do something like that, or it's hard?
There's not really a lot of people, man. I think the biggest thing in soccer is the competition, right? And this is where people forget about why we started doing it. We started doing it because of the kids. Right. And sometimes you want to compete with each other. And it's not about competing with each other. Especially if we're coming from the same city. Right. It's about making it bigger. Right. You know what I mean? If you want to expand and do your own thing and have your own rules within your own group, that's fine. But we should work together to make it bigger. Right. Because at the end of the day, we're representing Conroe. Right. You know what I mean? Which not a lot of people know that we got a lot of good players. Right. But we do. So
I mean, it's been good players for like 20 years. I mean, ever since I moved here, it's always been like Conroe's competing against the Woodlands, but they always fall short because of something, you know. Or the players, like you've seen the 10-year timeline of like players. Oh, where did this player end up? Oh, he ended up nowhere.
Right.
Or one player ended up.
Construction.
Yeah, one player ended up. Or just, you know, doing a business, going to school, not doing their thing. But you rarely hear, oh, this player went semi-pro or pro, you know. In the Woodlands or in other areas, they're like, oh, that player went, all these 5 players went to this college, these 10 players went to this team, these, you know. So it's like, where is it falling off in Conroe? Like, where is the mark of like, okay, we have enough good players, talented, but where does it, you know, fall off where they don't continue and finish?
Part of it is like what you said. It's like this group's Conroe, but they want to be the best in their own, and this group's Conroe, and then but nobody wants to be like, let's be one.
Correct.
It's like, no, I want to be my own, and my own is going to be.
And you can still do that. You can still be your own person, but it's just working together to get to a point. Right. You know what I mean? And then I'm not saying we got a weekly get together, but like once a month get together, kind of be in the same ballpark. Okay, you know, we're still doing it for the kids. You know, always remember we're still doing it for the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not the tournament wins. Like the tournament wins are important, but that's not like the end goal.
Yeah, right.
The end goal is for them to prosper, to have, you know, opportunities whenever they get older, for them to learn a lot while they're young, so they can take those skills to throughout the rest of their life.
Exactly.
Even costs, you would save a lot of costs, I think, working
definitely.
together.
Oh yes.
Because if it's like me and you, and we're like 2-hour minimum, you said, right? For that, and I'm like, hey,
we split the field.
Split the field and split the costs. And
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We need to come together.
Like that, we can make something more better.
Right.
So that's why. Whenever I talk to my brother, I was like, you know what? What would it take for us to start building the field, right? So I pitched it out to him. When we go to Houston, when we're in off season, we got to pay for parking, which is $5. So that's what I told him. I was like, that's where your income comes, okay, from your property.
The field,
Everybody pays their admission, $5,
right?
And we do a tournament, see how that goes. If you like it, good. If you don't, too bad. Right. We're gonna do it again.
Yeah, but and I think that's the difference. It takes people to be able to do that and accept that and take that, and not always has to be off for profit. But that's good. So
I think for me, it takes profit to make something great.
Yeah,
somebody has to make some profit.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm gonna make the profit.
The team, the organization.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even if it's not profit, just to cover your expenses, like I'm sure you. As long as you don't have to take money away from your family, if you can just cover your gas to go, this small thing, I think even that's a big change to start there at least.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is more like when it comes down to like the tournaments and stuff like that. Sometimes they don't give you all the rules. They don't tell you everything up front. Then as you're going, you're learning more and more and more. And whenever it's off season, they be putting some big kids to play against our teams, you know? And then all the parents, they come towards me, they're like, damn, dude, that kid, he had a mustache already, and he's playing over here with these other kids. Right. So then not only I'm trying to concentrate on the game, now I got to watch, you know, what the parents are saying. They're upset. Then I got to go argue with the coordinator. Then I got to argue with the ref. And 9 out of 10, man, they don't ever do nothing. Yeah. So it's sad to say it, but sometimes it's just like you got to gamble it. Either you're going to play them the same way or you're going to just work your kids. Right. And what I tell the parents is like, man, I think it's just better we work the kids. You know what I mean? If they want to cheat, let them cheat. But the moment that we start cheating and we start doing what they're doing.
And it's a learning opportunity.
You know what I mean? And it's like now they're playing a little bit more high-class competitive.
Right.
They're playing bigger. In this tournament, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? With the 2013, 2014, we made it to third place, which was good. You know what I mean? 2 of the other teams, the ones that we did lost against, I mean, everybody's about this short, and then the other kid, they're about my height, bro. So it's like they're 5'6", correct, against 3'6". So it's like that's a 2-foot gap.
Gotcha.
the kids standing there like bodying the kids, like, hey, bro,
trying to go around them.
Yeah.
So right now, what are you looking for? You're looking for sponsors. You're looking for players. Anything else you want to? Volunteers. I don't know. Like just
honestly, if you have any coaching experience and you have a passion for the sport, you know, and you want to dedicate some time, if you want to come check out what we're about, I mean, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I can send you all the info so you can pull up and get a feeling of understanding what these kids are about. Once you see how the kids play, it's gonna motivate you because seeing them in practice, sometimes they do goof around, right? And you got to get them back in line. You got to let them know, hey, we got to pay attention. And when the kids are growing and they got a whole bunch of other kids with them, it's easy for them to get distracted.
Right.
But it's just once they got the respect for you and you're there, they don't do that. They pay attention. So coaches are willing to put up with that. Volunteers that want to come in and, you know, be an assistant coach and try to learn and stuff like that. I'm always open for that. Sponsors that want to help out, you know, with some registrations, soccer balls, equipment, donations, whatever it is, you know, any type of donations, like, we'll take it. You know, anything that anybody wants to help out with, we'll take it. Players, we're only looking for 2009 and 2010, which is the age group of 13 to 14 years old.
Currently.
Everything else is full field, and, I mean, I got more than enough players right now on the other age groups.
Okay, and September kicks off the...
Yep. So if they want to sign up, they got to do it before August the 17th.
Do you do tryouts?
I do tryouts. I have a soccer camp on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's why I ran out the field Monday through Thursday. Monday and Thursday. So the soccer camp is more about developing kids that want to play.
Oh, okay.
So I had a total of about like 15 kids that they wanted to do summer soccer, right? So I didn't charge for none of that. The only thing I did charge was for the fields. So I was developing some kids, and then these kids, they didn't want to put in the extra work and stuff like that. Yeah, same field, same everything. Then whenever I seen kids that they were putting in work, they wanted to do more, I invited some of the kids from the select team. And I told them, I was like, hey, we're going to play scrimmage. It's going to be y'all against the other kids. See how they do. See how they feel whenever they play against somebody competitive. Obviously, I didn't tell them, hey, go in there and body them and do all this stuff. You know, I told them, I was like, hey, just play the ball, pass the ball around, play with them a little bit, juke the ball so they can feel that type of pressure.
Right.
If they can play and need that pressure, then we'll take them on Saturday, go give them a tryout in the field in the actual game. We're not going to win anything. The only thing that we're going to gain is going to be an extra player, somebody that wants to play.
Right.
So if he goes out there and he plays with his heart, then, yeah, that's the type of player I want.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
It's a good process.
That's a good process.
It's not very threatening, you know. It's like, go and perform now, you know. Yeah. Or like, you know, so it's like gradual.
Exactly. And from there, again, a total of 7 players. I mean, just yesterday, I invited another kid from the 2013-2014 to go and play with us this weekend. He's going to go. And we have a beach tournament coming up next week, August the 5th.
Like on the beach?
On the beach. Sand? Yeah, on the sand. We had one in July 16, which was the Galveston Cup. It was a great success. It was really good. It was a great turnout.
Different thing.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
I'm moving around, man. I'm looking for everything.
Yeah,
and the kids, they were like, "Oh, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be in the sand." And I kept telling them, I was like,
"That ball's not rolling."
And I told them, I was like, "Man, when we're waiting for our turn to play again, y'all got to sit down because it's 3 games guaranteed to play. So y'all got to sit down. But the ocean's right there next to us. Man, it was hard. I kept telling the parents, I was like, hey, y'all got to help me out with the kids, man. Like
they went to go swim.
They were swimming, and they had the like a splash pad. So everybody was in the splash pad. Everybody was in the
kids. They're just trying to be kids.
Yeah.
But then they forget that their body wears out. You know, third game, you're like, can't even keep up.
I only took 2 teams on that tournament because it was only 8 kids per team. So the 2013-2014, they did a little bit more better. They went to the quarterfinals, and then we got eliminated. And then the 2011-2012, we didn't make it past the group stage, but we didn't lose. We tied every single game.
Yeah.
So because of points, we didn't make it. So it was good. It was a good experience. So now that we know what it's about, this next time we're going, I'm taking 5 teams.
That's good.
Taking 5 teams.
So in about 3-4 years, I'll be seeing them at Conroe High. I'll be giving them some red cards.
Man.
No, that's good, man. So we're gonna put all your info in the comments and stuff like that, so people can reach out, and hopefully you can find those sponsors and people that donate. And I would say definitely get those links up, because I think sharing those links, I mean, me myself, sometimes I see somebody donates, or like, I'll put $20, like, it's things like that. And there's people that are willing to do little donations like that, just to help.
You'd be surprised how much $20 go.
Oh yeah,
right.
$20 you can go get a set of cones. Another $20 you can go get, soccer balls or something,
So
or just accumulate a little bit more to go get some training sticks, whatever you need, you know what I mean?
Right. Others, that's what we were saying, like that money helps you be able to bring in more things,
in that park, you have to like set up your own goals, right?
Where I'm at, originally, one of the kids' uncle, he donated 2 goals to us, right? So I took him to the park, and then every day we were tying them up and leaving them at the park. So the city said, you can't have them there. So I was like, well, I need a field with goals. Well, you got to take them and bring them back. Right. So the parking lot is not a big parking lot. It only fits about 7 cars. You got 50 kids rolling in. You know what I mean? So some of the kids, they do carpools. Some parents, they go drop them off and then pick them up at the time because there's no space. Okay. So it's like everybody's there because they know somebody. So sometimes I roll in with like 6 kids deep. You know what I mean? They'll drop them off at my house. I'll pull up with them, and you see somebody else pulling up in the minivan, and it's like, damn, how many kids you fit in there?
Right.
But it's like...
And the goals right now, how are you doing that?
So the goals, they told me either pick them up, don't leave them tied up, or leave them open. So basically right now, I leave them open.
Open, you mean like
to the
no
public.
Nets? Oh.
That means open to the public.
Oh, now
so
we have
if
somebody
I show
play.
up...
we got what time do you go?
Yeah.
How we go?
We can go play now.
Y'all can go on Friday.
There you go.
Because we're there Monday to Thursday. Y'all can go on Friday.
Yeah, dijiste.
Today, vamos.
Yeah, vamos. Well, that's good. If there's anybody out there that's willing to donate a field, donate something, donate $20, man, they'll take it. That's good. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of what you're doing. That like of you, what you're working on. It takes a lot. Like even,
and it's gonna take a lot more to kind of like see that vision throughout the whole city. Because right now it's very concentrated in what you do, and it's amazing. But we need more teams like that. We need more teams like that. And then, like you said, if all the teams come together and create like this association, we can compete against other bigger associations, and not just that, like the kids. It's all for the kids, right?
Yeah.
And
better future for them, scholarships, like you said, all that. It just it's a domino effect.
It is.
It just starts adding more and more to them.
And it's something that we love to do, that we know it works. You don't have to you have to put in the work, but you don't have to it's not anything outside of this world that we don't really know. It's like, soccer, how to play, but you need that communication, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sounds good, man. We're going to put your info down there. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Nah, man, just thank you for having me, and just want to give a big shout out to all the parents, whoever's watching, to the sponsors, Mr. Carlos and Craig Sr. for helping us out a lot.
Okay, sounds good, man. Thank you guys, everybody that stopped by today. Reach out to them. Website's coming soon, and we'll see you